How are you feeling today? The day is finally here.
I'm feeling really, really excited. It's been a long journey to get to this point, and after a grueling campaign and an immense amount of hard work that went into this, I'm really excited, really looking forward to serving Arizona's 3rd District. A little nervous as well, I think, probably natural, but there's that 10% of nerves around, of course, the job itself, but I think challenging times to go into, Congress with a trifecta minority for Democrats. So my team and I have been working really hard together to prepare on all fronts, what we hope to get done legislatively, how we can best serve our constituents in Phoenix. But overall, I'm feeling really good, really prepared, and definitely excited.
Have you spent time here, like significant amount of time in Washington or in the Capitol before the campaign started?
Not too much. I did live in Washington for a couple of months in 2016. I used to be a climate policy advisor prior to ever being an elected official. So I ran a climate summit here back then during what was still the Obama administration, pre-first Trump.
So mostly new. I'm wondering if when you walked in the building, you go through the hallways and you see the history and you feel it, if that, still kind of gives you a little bit of the nerves being so new here.
Yeah, I think it's so surreal when you're, running for office. You're just kind of looking at that and not really thinking beyond. But, being the daughter of immigrants myself, it's hard not to feel really emotional about the privilege of becoming a member of Congress. My parents immigrated here when they were teenagers. They fled a revolution in Iran to be here. Then you go back 2 generations to my grandparents and my grandmas. I think about them and the fact that, I had one grandma who didn't get an education beyond middle school, another who really wanted to and wanted to play sports and do all of these things, and because she was a woman didn't get the same experiences. And then to think that because of the privileges we have in the United States, just 2 generations later, I could be sworn in as a member of Congress really is, something that should not be taken lightly, and I don't take that lightly. So walking the halls of Congress these past couple of days and preparing for this has really made that even more clear to me.
Yeah, it was a perfect segue into my next question, which was just going to be the fact that you are a child of immigrants. How does that also inform your politics and maybe some of your goals while you're here?
Well, I think the most simple way that it does is I love this country so much. I really believe in the promise of the American dream. I always joke, my dad is truly the most patriotic American I've ever met. He loves this country so much and is forever an optimist about what it can bring for people. So I believe in, I think that we should remain a country that is pro-immigration, that, provides more legal pathways for individuals from across the world who want to come and contribute to our economy, to our culture, to our spirit. And that is what makes us special. That's what makes us unique. That is what helps our economy thrive. So I see my role here as to help build circumstances so the next generation of Americans can thrive as well.
Yeah, that's really special. And what does this day mean for your parents, too, being here and getting to see this and your family?
It means a lot to them. I think I'm sure there's going to be tears shed. They're going to be in the gallery with me when I'm sworn in. You can't take a bunch of people, but they'll be in the room. And my dad was telling me yesterday how nervous he was feeling. So I think it means a lot to them, and again, shows to them and proves to them, why they sacrifice so much to come here, and that the American dream really is real, and they're really proud. And I would not be here without them, so I feel very grateful to have them too.
That's always a beautiful story when you get that, because that means, I imagine, so much to them too. So since you've been here, have you made Republican friends?
Well, I have made some. I don't know about friends, but during new member orientation, Democrats and Republicans are all together. So we had some sessions here in D.C. on, the nuts and bolts of Congress together. We also went to Boston together and had seminars on everything from foreign policy to the economy. So gotten to know some of them. I'm going to be meeting very soon with the Republican freshman class president, because I'm the Democratic freshman class president, and we want to make sure there's regular opportunities for our various classes, our cohort to mesh. So that's going to be a priority. I believe in bipartisanship. I think that, if what Republicans have said is important to them. Issues like the economy, I'm all in. I want to make sure that there's a fair tax system, that people can afford health care and housing and a roof over their heads. So I'm ready to work with whoever. So I want to make sure, at least within my class, we can create those bipartisan relationships.
Okay. And last question for you. If you look at public polling, it seems like trust in government has gone down significantly over the last decade, or two. There are a lot of younger people who, if you talk to them, will say, I don't want anything to do with politics. You, I believe, are going to be the youngest woman in Congress. So you obviously were on the other side of that coin and you decided, no, I'm going to run for the U.S. House. Why did you make the decision to do that and think that this is the place where you could have the most impact?
Well, first of all, I think we have no other choice. I know it feels very easy to want to disengage, and we definitely do live in a time where there's so much misinformation. There's so much, between like AI and like videos online and everyone having a platform, which in so many ways has democratized information. There's also a lot of downside. So people do lack trust in institutions. I think if you really, really want to make change, we have to accept the fact that working through institutions is a very powerful way to do so. There's a hugely important role for outside activism as well. But for me, I got into this work. I worked on climate change policy, and so much of my work was focused on pushing elected leaders or pushing companies or pushing whoever the decision maker is to do more to transition to clean energy. And I just got to the point where I thought, instead of me being the one to push, I want to be the person who's actually in the decision-making role to be able to make that change. And I think a lot of young people, I know people are disenchanted, but I also see a lot of young people who are excited to get into the fight, who are excited to work. I have a team full of young people on my campaign here in my office, and I'm really hopeful for the future.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Congresswoman-elect, congratulations again. What are you feeling now that you are an hour away from, being an actual member?
Look, it's a real honor to serve the people of Alaska here in Washington, D.C. I think we've got a lot of opportunity with a unified House and Senate and presidency. We've got the trifecta. We've got to use that to deliver on the America First agenda.
Do you have people here with you today, friends, family, or anyone watching from home?
I've got my wife, Darna, my son, Nicholas, and a whole bunch of folks who've made the trip all the way from Alaska down to D.C. to celebrate this historic moment. This is only the sixth, I'll be only the sixth member from our state in the United States House. Wow. And so it's a historic day for Alaska as well. This is also the 66th anniversary of statehood for Alaska.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Big day for you and for the state then. So let me ask, your wife here, you said kids here, what does this mean for them? Your wife gets to see a spouse, your kids get to see their dad taking the oath eventually. What is it going to be like when they do that?
Well, it's been a long journey, and I ran, for those who've watched these races in the past, I ran in 2022, I ran again in 2024. The reality is, as I mentioned, it's historic, and I think everyone feels that weight and the opportunity walking into this Congress. There are a lot of challenges that we're facing as a nation. We know that. We've got to close our southern border. We've got to make sure that we keep inflation at bay. We've got conflicts around the world that need to be resolved. There's so many challenges that we need to face in this Congress, but I have high confidence in our president and in the unity of the conference to be able to get those things done.
How familiar were you with Washington before you actually won? Have you been around this building a lot?
A little bit. I'm not like some. Some were former longtime staffers. I spent a few weeks here over the years, but this will be new. This will be new for me, and I think new for a number of freshmen coming in.
So do you still get the history nerves when you walk through, and that's the room where this happened, and the president gave addresses here? Is that still kind of that feeling?
I don't think we'll ever get rid of that feeling. That's amazing. You walk the halls of Congress. So many great people came before you. So many important decisions have been made in these halls, and it's a true honor to be a part of that process now in the 119th Congress.
And I want to ask you if you've made so far any friends on the Democratic side in your short couple weeks before today.
There's a lot of folks that I have yet to meet, and I'm sure that there'll be an opportunity to make those relationships over the next 2 years. Right now I've been focused on meeting and getting to know a lot of my Republican colleagues, but look, at the end of the day, the American people want to see results, and that's going to take working across the aisle when it makes sense.
And just last one for you. You look at polling, there's a lot of distrust these days in government. A lot of people want to tune out, it seems like, and not get involved. Obviously, you were the other side of that coin, and you decided you were going to run, and that maybe you can make an impact while you're here. What motivated you to make that decision?
Look, I think we do need to restore trust in government. When Benjamin Franklin came out of the Constitutional Convention, he was asked by a woman, what kind of government do we have? What's our form of government? And he said, look, you have a republic if you can keep it. And it requires participatory engagement from the public. We can't let go. We can't get despondent. We've got to be involved. We've got to be engaged. And I think that's what we saw in this last election. And I think that we have a mandate now from the American people to deliver on the promises that were made during that campaign.